You can feed your dog well, buy them toys, let them sleep beside you, and genuinely love them, while still doing small things that make life with you confusing or stressful. And the tricky part is that some of those things look completely normal to us. A hug, repeating a command, taking something away, saying no today for something you laughed at yesterday. This does not mean your dog literally sits there thinking, "You do not love me." Dogs cannot tell us that. What we can observe is whether our behavior creates predictability, safety, frustration, avoidance, or trust. Today, we are counting down 10 common mistakes that can quietly weaken that relationship, and more importantly, what to do instead. Number 1 is especially easy to make because it often happens while we are actively trying to show affection. Welcome to Instin Paws, where we separate dog facts from dog myths. Number 10 is inconsistency. Imagine your dog jumps onto the couch Friday night and you invite them closer for a cuddle. Saturday morning, guests arrive, the dog jumps onto the same couch, and suddenly they are being told off. Or maybe jumping up is funny when you are wearing old clothes, but frustrating when you are dressed for work. To us, those situations are obviously different. To the dog, the behavior can look almost identical while the consequence changes. That unpredictability can make learning harder. A dog may hesitate, try several behaviors, or become more excited because yesterday's answer no longer works today. The solution is not to create dozens of strict rules. Decide which boundaries actually matter and make them realistic enough that everyone in the household can follow them. If the couch is allowed only after an invitation, teach a clear invitation cue. If 4 paws on the floor is what you want when greeting people, reward that consistently. This also applies to words. If down means lie on the floor to one person and get off the sofa to another, your dog is being asked to decode 2 meanings from one cue. Pick simple cues and use them consistently. Predictability is not about being controlling. It helps your dog understand how to succeed. Number 9 happens almost automatically. We notice our dogs most when they are doing something wrong. Your dog lies quietly while you eat dinner. Nothing happens. They walk calmly past the kitchen counter. Nothing happens. Then they steal a sock and suddenly the entire household is talking, chasing, reaching, and reacting. Sometimes the fastest way for a dog to get our attention is to do exactly what we do not want. That does not mean the dog is plotting against you. It means attention itself can be valuable, and behavior that reliably produces interaction can become worth repeating. Start catching the behavior you like. Calmly praise your dog for settling. Reward them for checking in on walks. Notice when they choose their toy instead of your shoe, wait at a doorway, or relax while visitors enter. Reinforcement does not always have to be food. Depending on the dog, it can be attention, play, access to the yard, permission to sniff, or simply hearing a familiar marker followed by something enjoyable. A useful habit is to ask yourself once or twice a day, what is my dog doing right that I normally ignore? Then reinforce one of those moments. If most of your communication happens only after mistakes, change the balance. Make good choices easier to notice. Number 8 is treating every walk like a mission to cover distance. Your dog stops at a tree. Come on. They investigate a patch of grass. Leave it. They turn toward an interesting scent. The leash tightens and the walk continues. For dogs, sniffing is a major way of gathering information about the environment. A walk can provide physical exercise, but it can also provide mental enrichment through scent, exploration, and choice. That does not mean your dog should drag you toward every smell or spend 20 minutes at every lamppost. Safety and leash manners still matter. The point is that not every walk needs to be measured only by distance or speed. Try separating your walks by purpose. Some can be structured walks when you need to get somewhere. Others can deliberately include more sniffing time, where safe exploration is part of the activity. You can even use sniffing as a reward. Ask for a few steps of loose leash walking, then release your dog to investigate a safe patch of grass or tree. That makes the walk a conversation instead of a constant tug-of-war. Giving your dog appropriate opportunities to investigate the world can make a surprisingly ordinary walk much richer. Number 7 is turning a safe space into something your dog predicts after conflict. A crate, bed, mat, or quiet room can become a valuable place for rest and decompression when it has been introduced positively. But if the dog is repeatedly sent there only when somebody is angry, that emotional association can change. Imagine the dog steals something, the owner shouts, grabs the collar, and immediately forces the dog into the crate. The crate itself did nothing wrong, but it has just become part of an unpleasant sequence. If you need to interrupt behavior, separate that moment from the dog's safe space when you can. Manage the environment, redirect the dog, and then allow the crate or bed to remain associated with calm rest. If you use a crate, build positive associations with it separately. Comfortable bedding when appropriate, calm entry, treats or enrichment when safe, and periods of rest that are not connected to punishment can help preserve its purpose. And remember that confinement needs vary by age, training, health, and the individual dog. A crate is a management and safety tool, not a substitute for exercise, toileting, interaction, or training. Number 6 may be one of the most important skills a dog owner can learn, noticing the quieter signals that can come before an obvious protest. An uncomfortable dog may turn the head away, repeatedly lick the lips, shift the body away, lower or pin the ears, become suddenly still, show the whites of the eyes in context, or repeatedly try to leave an interaction. None of those signals has one universal meaning by itself. A dog may lick the lips because food is nearby. Ears move for many reasons. Context matters. But when several changes appear together during handling, hugging, grooming, nail care, or another interaction, pay attention to the pattern. Communication does not begin with a growl. A growl can be one part of a larger sequence of communication, especially when quieter attempts to create distance have not worked. Punishing the warning without addressing why the dog felt uncomfortable can remove useful information while leaving the underlying problem unchanged. Instead, create distance when it is safe to do so, identify what triggered the reaction, and use qualified professional help if the behavior is intense, escalating, or difficult to manage. Learning your individual dog's body language is one of the clearest ways to make interactions feel more predictable. If learning what your dog's behavior actually means is useful to you, subscribe to Instin Paws. We separate dog facts from dog myths so you can understand the behavior behind what your dog does. And number 5 is one almost every dog owner has seen. You walk through the door and find the trash scattered across the kitchen. Your dog lowers their body, turns away, or gives you that expression people often call a guilty look. It is tempting to think, look at that face. They know exactly what they did. But the behavior you see in that moment may reflect your dog's response to what is happening now, your posture, facial expression, tone of voice, approach, and their previous experience with similar situations, rather than a human-like confession about an action that happened much earlier. Timing matters in learning. If a consequence arrives long after the behavior, it becomes much harder for the dog to connect the two in the way the owner intends. If you discover damage after the fact, manage the environment and clean it up. Then ask why the behavior happened. Was food accessible? Was the dog bored? Did they need a toilet break? Were they left with an object that was too tempting? Are they still learning what is appropriate to chew? Then change the setup for next time. Secure the trash. Put shoes away. Provide appropriate chews. Increase supervision where needed. Practice the behavior you want when you are actually there to reinforce it. Training works better when we teach the behavior we want and manage opportunities for unwanted behavior instead of trying to punish yesterday's decision. Number 4 is expecting a dog to understand language simply because the words make sense to us. Behave. Stop it. Be good. Calm down. Don't do that. Humans can infer what those phrases mean from context. A dog needs a much clearer learning history. If your dog is jumping when guests arrive, behave does not tell them what action will work instead. A trained cue such as sit, go to your mat, or come gives them something specific to do. If they have something dangerous, a properly trained drop cue is more useful than repeating no louder and louder. And remember that dogs do not automatically generalize perfectly. A sit learned in a quiet kitchen may fall apart at a busy park. A recall practiced in the hallway is not the same challenge as coming away from another dog. Before deciding your dog is stubborn, ask a better question. Have I clearly taught the behavior I am asking for in this environment and around this level of distraction? Clear communication reduces frustration on both ends of the leash. Number 3 is being physically present without giving your dog many meaningful opportunities to engage with you. Modern life makes this easy. We come home, feed the dog, answer messages, watch television, finish work, and suddenly the evening is gone. That does not mean you need to entertain your dog every waking minute. Dogs need rest, and healthy independence matters too. But regular opportunities for social interaction, play, training, sniffing, and appropriate exercise are important parts of a dog's life. Quality can matter more than turning this into another exhausting obligation. 10 focused minutes of training, a game your dog enjoys, a relaxed sniff walk, grooming for a dog that likes it, or simply calm interaction can be meaningful. The best activity also depends on the dog. A young high-energy dog may need more physical outlets. A senior may prefer slow sniffing, gentle training, or quiet company. A dog recovering from illness may need enrichment that does not demand much movement. If your schedule requires long periods away from home, think realistically about toileting, exercise, enrichment, age, and the needs of your individual dog. Some households may benefit from help from a trusted walker, sitter, family member, or appropriate daycare. The goal is not constant attention. It is making sure your dog's life contains more than waiting for the next meal. Number 2 is assuming that because an interaction feels affectionate to us, it must feel affectionate to the dog. Hugging is the obvious example. Some dogs actively seek close body contact and appear comfortable with it. Others tolerate hugs without enjoying them, and some clearly try to move away. Instead of following a universal rule like never hug a dog or all dogs love cuddles, watch the individual in front of you. Does the body remain loose? Does the dog move closer when you pause? Do they lean back into contact? Or do they freeze, turn the head away, close the mouth suddenly, repeatedly lick the lips, or try to leave? One useful approach is a brief consent-style pause during ordinary petting. Stop for a moment and see what your dog does. If they move back toward you, nudge your hand, or clearly solicit more contact, that gives you useful information. If they move away, let the interaction end. Do not use this as a test during necessary medical handling or a safety situation. It is simply a way to make everyday affection more responsive to the dog's body language. Affection becomes more meaningful when the dog has some choice in it. And number 1 brings several of the earlier mistakes together. Not listening when your dog is trying to end an interaction. Your dog turns away while being petted, so you follow. They move off the couch, so you pull them back for another cuddle. They become still during a hug, so you squeeze a little longer. They growl when uncomfortable, and the growl gets punished. A dog cannot say, "I would like some space right now." Their body has to do the communicating. Respecting that communication does not mean allowing dangerous behavior or letting your dog control every situation. Veterinary care, grooming, emergencies, and safety sometimes require handling a dog would not voluntarily choose. Those situations should be managed carefully and, when needed, with professional guidance. But during ordinary affection and interaction, choice is often available. When your dog approaches, notice it. When they lean into contact, respond when you can. When they bring you a toy, engage when appropriate. And when they move away, allow them to leave. This also matters around children and visitors. A dog that walks away should be allowed to create distance rather than being followed for another hug or photo. Giving a dog an exit can prevent pressure from building. One of the simplest ways to build trust is to teach your dog that their quieter communication works. They do not always need to escalate before you listen. If you remember only one idea from this countdown, make it this. Look for patterns, not isolated moments. One missed walk, one impatient correction, or one awkward hug does not define your relationship. What matters more is what your dog experiences repeatedly, whether the rules are understandable, whether good behavior is noticed, and whether their body language changes what happens next. Your dog does not need you to communicate like another dog, and you do not need to be a perfect owner. What matters is becoming easier for your dog to understand. Be reasonably predictable. Reward the behavior you want. Give your dog opportunities to sniff, play, learn, exercise, and rest. Notice when they seek interaction, and just as importantly, notice when they are asking for space. A strong relationship is rarely built from one enormous gesture of love. It is built through hundreds of small interactions in which your dog learns that life around you is understandable, communication works, and they can feel secure. If you recognized one of your own habits in this list, you do not need to change everything overnight. Pick one interaction and make it clearer today. Until next time, stay curious and keep listening to what your dog is trying to tell you.